everyone, this is Nancy with the first of a series of videos that I'll be doing on quilting with Inkscape. Inkscape is a very powerful and free, no strings attached, drawing program that you can download from the web. With Inkscape, you can design your quilts, make templates, and with the help of a cutter, like a silhouette cameo, you could even cut your fabric pieces. How cool is that? In a future video, I'll be showing you how to do this without any fusible web or interfacing. For this introduction, I'll be showing you how to make something useful while you're getting comfortable with using Inkscape. A grid with 1-inch lines and angle lines that you can print onto a transparency. When Inkscape opens, the default document size appears. I have my default document set to 12 by 12. But I'll be changing it to a US letter size so that I can print it on my inkjet printer. I'll go to File, Document Properties, and I'll change it to US letter, 8.5 by 11. Notice that in two places the measurements are set to inches. Now we're going to set up a grid. There's already a grid set up here, but if there wasn't, I would click on New. The measurement on this grid is also set to inches, and the grid marks are set at 1/4 inch intervals with a major grid mark every 4, giving us 1-inch lines. Now I'm going to set up a second grid. This grid will have 1/8 inch intervals with a major grid line every 8, but we don't really need a 1/8 inch grid, so I'm making it invisible for now. We can close this window. Let's give ourselves a little bit more room. On the right, there are snapping controls. We are going to be snapping to the grid to get everything very accurate. So we're going to shut off snapping to guide and leave on snapping to grid. Now I'm going to select the pen tool or the Bezier tool. That will allow us to make straight lines with snapping. I move over, you can see it's snapping. I move over straight across and snap to the other side. But we have a little problem. The grid wants us to snap either to 8 or 9, not 8.5. We can fix that by going back to Document Properties and clicking on the Snapping tab. And we can change the precision of the snapping. Now we can close that window again. Now when we snap, we can snap closer to the edge of the page. We can make it even more precise. A few ways actually, but this way is we're going to select the line with the selection tool, and I'll move in a little bit closer so we can see what we're doing. And now I'm going to snap to the page border. So I click the page border and I'll move that in. But as you can see there, it didn't really snap to the page border, it snapped to the grid. That's because when we zoomed in, we had more lines to see on our grid and it snapped to the grid. So now I'm going to copy that line with Control D, move out a little so I can see better, and I'm going to move the copy down. It'll snap to the next 1-inch grid line. And we'll do that again. And again. And now we'll select all of those lines, Control D again, and Control G to group them, and we'll move the whole group down. Now we'll Control D, it'll copy that group, and now we have a whole page of horizontal lines at 1-inch increments. Now we can make the lines look the way we want them to look. I select all the lines, go to Object, Fill and Stroke, and our Fill and Stroke menu will open on the right-hand side. We'll click on Stroke. That stroke is fine with me. Color. We can use this tool to spin it around until we get the color that we like. The dot in the middle of the triangle will let you change the value of the color or the darkness. Putting in the vertical lines is pretty much the same procedure, so we're going to move through this quickly. The Bezier tool. And now we'll snap vertical lines and copy them until we have a page full of vertical lines at 1-inch intervals. Notice that the line color and size is what we just chose. Now, since we have a 1/2 inch mark at our 8-inch line, I think it would be nice to have a 1/4 inch mark. So I Control-D to copy the 8-inch line, move it over to the 1/4 inch mark, and now change the color. And the stroke. Now I'll move in to see how that looks. Plus or equals really lets you zoom in, minus lets you zoom out. I think we can do better than that. Now I'll move it a little bit so it snaps to the grid. Okay, I'm satisfied with that. 5 on the keyboard zooms out to the whole page. And now instead of snapping to the grid, we're going to be snapping to guidelines. So you just pull down a guideline, and I find the easiest way is just type in what you want there. So I'm putting in a 45-degree angle with the origin at 0, 0, which is at the bottom left. Now with the Bezier tool, I can snap a line along the guideline, and I have my 45-degree angle line. I'm going to select the line and use the fill and stroke tools to change the look of the angle lines. Okay, I think that'll show up well. We could use another guideline, or we can just double-click on this one and change it. So this will give us a 30-degree guide that we can snap a line to. Bezier tool, snap the line. The 60-degree line is the same idea, so we're going to quickly go through that until we get to the 120-degree line. The 120-degree line is going to slope downward, so we need to set the origin to the top left. So the x-axis will not change. The y-axis will set to 11, which is the top of our page. Now we can snap that 120-degree line down. Now the whole grid is finished. We don't really need the grid lines or the guidelines anymore, so we can turn them off. I hope you feel that you've learned enough now to start exploring on your own. The next lesson will be putting the numbers on the grid where we want them to be. This will teach a lot about text tools and manipulating text. In the future, I hope to have a lot of videos on quilting with Inkscape so that you can use Inkscape to make your own notions. What will you do with the money you save? Buy more fabric, of course.